Jay
had something because he had to not come to policies and bylaws today because of something going on. So he may have something.
Okay,
that's-
I'm just
that's a
taking notes
problem.
for staff.
Huh?
I'm just taking notes for staff.
Okay. So we have a quorum, so we'll call the meeting to order. The October's meeting of the Board of Back Porch Radio Broadcasting Incorporated.
We got Julia now.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late. I'm here.
Okay, we're just starting.
just starting.
Any comments on the agenda? Any requests to amend the agenda, or can it stand as submitted? As in the documentation, seeing no requests, will stand as is. Next item is the approval of the 2024 minutes, of the September 2024 minutes. I hope you all had a chance to look at them. Any questions, comments, clarifications? If not, then it will stand by unanimous consent as submitted. I'm aware of no communications from the public. Doug, are you aware of anything?
No,
Okay, pass on that. A very brief presence report. As I mentioned in an email I sent a couple of days ago, I had a talk with Jeff Burkhardt about the board staff retreat, which I can either talk about now or when it comes up on the agenda. I'll leave it for when it comes up on the agenda. And also got some good input from Laura and other people about trying to activate the task force on the future and have part of its focus. Some of what the archive task force is doing on the 50th anniversary function also has implications for, I think, the task force of the future in dealing with our digital archives, both preserving and, I don't know, we use the brusque term monetizing, but monetizing.
Well, the publication of them.
Yeah, and so that's something that we'll talk about when it comes up. But those are the only two things I had. There were no executive committee actions since the last meeting, so we come to the treasurer's report.
Oh, boy. I did not run the meeting this time, and I don't have the report.
Oh, that's right.
open
You
up.
were ill with COVID. How you feeling?
It's-
You're getting better?
I'm better.
Okay.
Yes, much
It's
better.
linked in the,
yeah, the minutes are in the
Yeah.
board folder.
Trying to get.
Okay.
I think they were prepared by Susan.
So Dan and Doug.
do you see it on the agenda?
I tried to open it and it didn't open for me. Board.
Well, Dan and Doug were both there. Anything you want to?
No, we discussed some differences between this year and last year and some of the numbers and some of the explanations why we were like 20,000 behind.
Not quite.
where we were,
20,000.
yeah, behind last year. So I sent an email out to the committee with some things that I identified going closely through the numbers. They were all pretty relatively easily explained though, and not really anything that should cause any red flags. In addition to
Mary
that,
Joy and I reviewed that too today.
good.
And yeah, we didn't get it, exact. We didn't drill down on it to like a dollar level, but we did look at the bigger picture, and we don't see anything that we need to be worried about. It has to do with a few things like the AOIP purchases and the AC money has not been factored in yet, so that's not the cause of it. But certainly the audio over internet equipment, and also the fact that there was one more pay period in August. However, that should even out over the course of a year.
Sure.
But like I say, we didn't drill down into it that deeply.
I had a question, because it said, the report said there was about a 20K difference in expenses and 15 was for payroll, but then I thought, well, I don't know what the other 5K is. So I thought I'd ask. 'Cause it might be an obvious question.
Part of it was numbers for nonprofits. Signing on with them this year. Part of it was increased, audit
Licensing.
costs.
Licensing
Licenses and
fees for this?
fees were increased. So they were all pretty.
Yeah.
Normal things.
Yeah.
Inflation.
I
Yeah,
was just curious. Well, 15 and 5 is 20, so. I'm just. little things.
the other thing that was discussed was, the timeline for the budget for 2025, since that's been a hot item. So I gave, an update on the staff, progress on the budget. Which at this point, we're very close to achieving a balanced budget for 25. We have one more meeting scheduled before the finance special meeting on November 4th, 6th.
I think that sounds like it.
I think it's the 6th. So the first Wednesday of the month, finance is going to have a special meeting to go over the budget in detail.
4 o'clock on the 6th.
Yes. So before that meeting happens, staff is going to convene one more time. We're about $7,500 away from a balanced budget at this point. It is interesting to note that this is the first year that WORT will put forward a budget that exceeds $1 million in operating revenue and expenses. This does not include capital expenditures. That'll be explained a little more in the November board meeting. But we're definitely going to want to set aside some time in the November meeting. By then we'll also know how much the CPB grant is. We'll know how much the insurance quotes are. I did receive the Delta Dental insurance quote. Their rates remain constant. There's
Yeah.
no increase in Delta Dental this
Okay.
year.
Got ours today.
Yeah, that was really good news. So that's about where it stands right now. So there'll be more detail, obviously, in next month's
Can I
meeting.
ask a process question? And it's just, I know this is my second time around on this, but I just don't remember. Is it expected the board will pass a budget in November? Will that be December, or how does that work?
That depends on,
I mean, it's calendar year budget, right?
it is a
So
calendar
we
year
need to
budget.
do it by December.
Yes,
Right.
by December's meeting, we like to do it in November, just so that we're ahead of the
Sure,
game and
sure.
make sure that we have a balanced budget that we can feel comfortable going forward with.
Right, right.
There's also some reporting that we have to do in December, with community shares.
The goal is to
We're-
get it done in November.
Right, because the approved budget needs to be given to community shares in order for us to receive the award in the coming year.
Mhm.
So the sooner that can happen, the better too, because there's a deadline for Susan to get that in as well.
Sure.
is there any money in the budget for board staff retreat?
Not as yet. We
Okay.
haven't gotten a quote.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna, it's just us here right now, right? Yeah, it's just yeah, the,
As opposed to,
as opposed to
Non-board
Non-board.
member.
non-board members.
Rabble.
Yeah.
got it.
The,
Rick.
I thought the first quote that Jeff gave me, I thought was high, was $6,000 for two sessions to do like a session in January, then a session in March, right? And we can talk about this further, you know, what's on the
Mhm.
agenda, but if we're gonna do some, I mean, we're gonna have to put some money in the budget if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna have, if,
Mhm.
'cause we're gonna have to pay somebody to do it, whether or not it's Jeff Burkhardt, $6,000, but we do need to. I mean, there will be money in the budget for that. Are there any, staff changes, any part-time? Any new?
What do you mean?
Are-
Additional
It's
employees?
Yeah.
been stable.
Okay,
No.
okay.
That was the first thing we looked at with the
Okay.
discrepancies.
And as far as, there is some changes on the insurance front.
You know, I mean, personnel.
Yeah, I mean, there are some personnel expense
Yeah, no,
changes, but
I-
not
additional-
personnel
like-
changes
Okay.
per se.
Okay,
Yeah.
is there any money for any staff doing anything to improve their working conditions in their office?
That was something that was raised, one-on-one. And I don't know what the process for that is, like when money would be needed to say improve, heating and air conditioning in a certain area of the
Yeah.
building, for instance.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what we're talking
Yeah.
about. But it sounds like some work has to be done before that can even happen,
Okay,
on that person's part
okay.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
But this should be covered before our next meeting, right? Before the
Yeah,
November.
and I appreciate you bringing up these 2 points, because these are things that we're gonna have to bring up in the staff's next meeting next week. We're meeting again on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I think from a board perspective, just thinking about evaluations and stuff next year, if we said to a staff person, you should get professional development or you know, arranged so your office is in better shape and it costs money, then it's on the organization to make sure there's money for them.
Yeah, right. No, absolutely.
You know, it wouldn't be okay
It's-
to, you know,
Right, but I don't
say
think this
somebody
is.
didn't do these things, but we didn't give them the money for it.
Right, but that particular instance too, that I think we're talking about hasn't been expressed to the full staff yet. So the full
Mhm.
staff is not aware of
Got
the
it,
situation.
Got it,
I was made aware of the situation literally this afternoon,
got it.
in a one-on-one conversation. So now that we're aware of the situation, and that there is something that needs to be rectified, then, now we can bring it forward on Tuesday as a group and
Mhm.
discuss it.
Sounds good.
So these 2 points are definitely things I'll be bringing to the discussion on Tuesday. We did include the numbers for nonprofits money. We did include like some of the other unexpected things we had this year. And also, appropriating some funds according to some individual donations that we got that are gonna go strictly to facilities upkeep, not upkeep, but
Would
fixing.
these restricted funds?
Yes, they are based on how they were donated.
Okay.
Yes. So, so like those improvements that we're planning to do, some of those are not falling in, and you won't see those in the operations budget because those are capital campaigns and capital improvements that have already been funded. Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah, and that being said too, one thing I can tell you right now that you'll see in the budget is a big increase in equipment purchases and facilities equipment purchases, both on the engineering side and the facilities side. There's some things that have been let go a little too long that we all as a staff agree are must-have things that we must do. Things like the server that keeps all of our stuff, all of our information safe. Very basic things that have gone on too long without an upgrade, and Tom really sold his case well. So we'll be seeing more money going to that. There will be some reduction in the increase of employee cost this year. It will be more than last year, but it won't be a huge increase, even given the new pay increase. Just because of some other factors that are more personally related that I don't really want to touch on in a board meeting.
Okay.
One other thing we
Yeah.
talked about was the Super Saver account.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
we're still waiting for you to have some free time to
Yeah.
become the signatory.
Yeah, I also meant to mention this in that brief presence report. I should be turning this book in a couple of weeks, and I will be back to close to full strength after that. So I apologize. I recognize that I have not been operating at 100% here for the last couple of months, and I expect to get back to that shortly. So thank you for being patient with me.
Best of luck with it.
Thank you. It ain't done yet, but we're getting close.
You're waiting to have some free time too.
Oh, no, it's not, free time is not a concept.
Right,
It's,
exactly.
you know,
It's just not.
yeah.
A couple of us who are in publishing, we understand the process. It's arduous.
And if anybody wants to read draft chapters and comment on them, I'd be happy to send them to you.
I would read draft chapters. And
Okay.
love
send them
that.
to you. Okay, anything else on the finance report?
No.
Okay, then a motion to accept, I don't think we need, no, we made the report. Any other questions of, either, Laura or Doug on any of that treasurer's or finance material? Hearing none. Staff reports, let's start with Doug. Doug, the obvious question is, did Frank give us any explanation? Did they just, what's up?
At this point, nothing. So when I come back, I plan on reaching out to Crystal again, just to kind of see what's going on.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's the nature of the shows. They don't feel it fit with our programming anymore. I don't think that's necessarily true.
That doesn't make
seem
any
true at
sense.
no,
all.
it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, there's a story there. I just don't know what it is, and I hate to,
Okay,
No, don't guess.
Well-
That's it.
exactly.
Right.
I mean, on the other side, community pharmacies coming back, union cabs coming
Okay.
back. In fact, union cab, I almost gave Mary Joy the contract, but there's some back and forth on the content of the script because the new contact there doesn't understand the nature of non-commercial radio and what can and cannot be
Right,
said
right,
in a
right.
promo.
Right.
So I rewrote some things for him and he's in the process of reviewing them now, just so that we make sure that they conform to FCC guidelines. So,
Sure.
but it's in the bucket. So I'm excited to like make it up with some other things. And Overture did respond to me, like I said, and we should expect to see contracts from Overture again soon.
How much was Frank worth a year?
I would have to run the numbers.
Okay,
I would say it's close to 10,
wow.
if not more.
That's
Yeah,
a
we
whole.
got a lot of shows.
Susan says they're still giving us tickets.
Yes, we still do promotional exchanges with them. They just have not done the cash buy
Huh,
on the shows.
yeah,
The other reason may be that the promoters aren't going for it anymore.
yeah,
I mean, this might not have anything to do with FPC. It
What do you
may
mean
be the
going for it?
You mean it might be
allowing them to spend the money from the budget on
I see.
local radio programming.
Right.
As
So,
opposed to-
because ultimately it's the promoter that cuts the check,
Sure, sure,
not
sure.
FPC.
Right,
Oh.
right,
It
right,
might be,
Because they're paying FPC to promote the
right,
shows,
right,
right? So it could be from a whole different level, like, and more from the promoters and not FPC.
it could be spending that budget on digital promotion.
That's it too, is they may feel that digital promotion is more viable.
yeah,
We can be digital.
right.
And we,
Yeah. yeah.
That's the future of.
Okay, well, I mean, is there somebody there who'll tell you this, who will give you the straight skinny?
yeah,
of what it
but
was?
Dre, reach out to Crystal McDaniels one-on-one. She'll let me know. I'll
Okay.
call her when I get back from Michigan,
Okay,
because it's worth a phone call at this
Oh, yeah,
point.
Yeah, for a $10,000
Yeah.
lost contract.
yeah, okay. Anything else in your report you wanna?
Yeah, Bolorama is a week from Sunday. The registration signups and sponsor registrations are live. People can register online and prepay for their lanes. So when they show up, they just get their tickets and their towels and bowl. We've already had quite a few people register online. At this point, we have probably, is it 11 lane sponsors so far, plus Union Cab. I spoke with Marshall this week and they are signed on as a full event sponsor at the $500 level.
Nice.
So the sponsorships are really coming in nice. Last year we had 16 lanes full of people and I expect to break that this year. It was really popular last year. We have a good selection of raffle prizes thanks to a lot of the concert tickets that we get. In addition to some really great stuff from like Float Madison, Soul Escape, like an hour massage. I wish I could win that so bad. And then the other thing that's big news for my report is that I'm helping Shali with the election night watch party at the Labor Temple. I originally reached out to
I read
Nate
about
to get the Temple Lounge. Shali and I did a tour with Nate and felt that was really a more appropriate space for us, and could work really well. Shali's working on the trivia contest with a WORT volunteer and occasional staff member, who does these bi-weekly trivia contests already. So the format is already there. Trivia will take about 3 hours with cutouts for if something happens on the screen that we need to turn it up for. We're going to be mixing them both. So like the TV screens and the commentary will be running kind of low underneath as an underbed. But then if something happens, you know, Nate will cut out and then we'll bring it up to like see if
Sure.
anything important, like if they call a local race, for instance,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Neither of us really expect that a whole lot of results are going to come out that night.
Well, the state ones will.
Probably the
we should
local.
know yeah.
It is 8 to 12. So by 12, we'll know a lot of the local ones. So yeah, and then we're gonna ask for a $5 suggested donation at the door. She's wrangling some prizes for the winner of the trivia contest. She's keeping it light, simple things, just so people don't, oh, you cheated and now you won kind of thing. Because sometimes people get really pissy at events like that.
Political year.
And it's already a stressful election night
Yeah.
too. Like emotions may run high, so we're trying to keep it as light as possible.
But there's some
And
plastic
middle of the
flowers
road,
from
you know,
St.
too,
Minnie's.
so that anyone can feel comfortable coming. You know, no matter what bent their politics are. So yeah. And then we're also working on finalizing the bands for the birthday bash on December 1st. We're gonna do a daytime show for people who want to hang out and have some light music, some conversations, some treats, and then an evening show with more danceable, rock, blues, funk kind of oriented show for people who want to do a later thing. Topher was gracious in giving us the entire day of our birthday to play with.
Nice.
The rate there can't be beat. We just pay the sound guy. And the bands, of course. I'm working on sponsors now, but they're definitely more attractive to get once the bands are known. So I'm working with Sybil and Ralph. We've got some ideas for both shows at this point, but we're just kind of firming it up before the first asks go out. So that's where that's at.
And
Oh, and I also did the date request for Wortstock 2025. So I submitted that with the city on time so that we know that we have the date of Sunday before Memorial Day weekend.
Same
for
location.
Wortstock. Same location at Warner Park.
Yeah, I think it's a
Nice.
good location,
Yeah, I think it's the best we've had yet. I really like it.
especially if the weather keeps being good.
We've been really lucky.
Yeah.
And on the trivia stuff, at some point we'll talk about a 60s, 70s thing that I can do.
Yeah, that's actually in my budget for next year.
As revenue?
Yes.
Okay, I guess.
You told me you were gonna do a trivia night. Yeah, oh, it's in there. It's in there.
Okay,
Yeah, let's play. We can do it anytime we want next year.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What works for you? Get me on the book and then we'll talk,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Okay, well, that'd be exciting. Okay, any questions for Doug on his report? If not, do we have any other, that's it for staff. Well, anything, well, is there anything in any of the other reports that anybody wants to call out and discuss?
Yeah.
Yes,
I want to know what's in the water here that the highest percentage of staff getting married in such a short period of time of any place I've ever been associated with. I mean, like every report I read, getting married, just got married.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah,
It's all
There's
good.
one to go.
I just thought, I mean, I did notice it. All right. I was like, what's up? I'm
I
kidding.
honestly
Just
don't
You're not
know.
the only way to get married, right? Okay.
kidding.
Watch it. Will come in December. Doug's gonna be married by
He knows
Christmas.
my track record and
I
why that
do.
ain't ever gonna happen.
I don't know. I don't know. Call me tomorrow and you're like, that's right. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, that's a big hard no.
Hey,
so,
Sham marriage. How about that?
I already have one of those.
Okay,
Her name's Chrissy.
yeah,
perfect.
I think, everything seems to be good, all
Donor
the-
relations. 21%?
Donor relations are good.
Susan's just been doing an amazing job. I will definitely say that.
What a
Yeah.
victory.
Like,
Yeah.
wow,
Under,
just a
under
fantastic year.
some extremely difficult circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been through the crucible this
Yeah.
year.
And my sense is that she's figured out a way to maintain more. I think I think she's good for a little bit longer than it looked like she might have been a little while ago.
In terms of staying full-time
Yeah.
and not the
Yeah.
part-time business we
yeah,
were
yeah.
talking about before.
Yeah.
Okay, then we don't need to keep planning about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
Not right
but I
Good
mean,
to learn a word.
yeah, but I mean, my sense is that it's not an issue that we're gonna have to deal with in 2025 at all. And maybe even beyond that. I mean, nothing's official, but I got a sense from her that she's figured out some ways to maintain. Great, she's got a plan.
Well, that would
I
be a
noticed,
gift.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I noticed that I run into her more often
Mm.
at the station now. Of course, that's because her
Yeah,
other issues
Yeah.
are dealt with, but it's nice to see her.
Mhm.
yeah. Shally, of course, is doing great things with keep expanding the department. Everything seems to be functioning well. Any general things that staff wants to call to our attention, Doug?
Oh, not at this time, no.
Okay. Um, then if there are no other questions or comments about the staff reports, anything on the engineering committee?
Tom's he put in a new server. And we're going to be holding a work day, a few of us, to finish up with the last AOIP puzzle piece, which will be the way the studios switch between combo A and combo B. So we're doing pretty well. I'm trying to think if there was, he was working on Civi CRM, our database for donors.
Mhm.
And I guess that has, it's working, but it needed to be updated. Anyways, the rest of it's kind of trivial stuff.
Okay, okay. There's no report in the file, in the folder, but policies and bylaws did meet today, and had a pretty productive work session. We're looking to get something done by December, January, to be all done with this and start having it go out for review. So
We're going out for
volunteer handbook.
volunteer handbook. Okay.
Volunteer handbook. So we're making progress. I think it'll be a good document. Okay, let's talk a bit about the retreat.
Can I just say
yeah.
that DEI did have
sorry.
a meeting, and that we did publish our first question, or get it published in the newsletter?
saw
You
that.
can see it
We did,
there.
yeah, which is great.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
yeah, so we're chugging along. Arlene, I believe it was Arlene, wants to meet with the committee next time, so that'll be interesting. But it does at least let me know that people are aware of our presence, and that's a good thing.
Julia, did you want to say something about this?
Sure, so I can speak to it a little bit. Yeah, for our last DEI committee meeting, we tabled a handful of items just due to attendance. Hoping to see some folks. No, no worries, Nicole. Hoping to see some folks next time around, but it happens. And so yeah, a couple of things that we'll bring back for next time. But outside of that, yeah, the main piece was what Laura was speaking about, which is trying to get more visibility. We did get an item then in the volunteer newsletter, which dropped, that was today, right? All the days blur together. That was today, and that dropped today. And already seeing a little bit of engagement from folks. So yeah, Arlene from her turn reached out to maybe join. And I mean, baby steps, one person at a time, right? So it's exciting to see any engagement at all. And so, yeah, we just want to continue to grow it out from there. But that's basically what we had for DEI committee.
Great, thank you. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, thank you. Any other of the committee work groups? Yeah.
CAB did meet.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We had our first meeting and it was sparsely attended, but a few ladies were there. Mostly it was just updating them of what happened over the summer and the pledge drive and stuff like that. They had a lot of opinions about the 50th, and they are going to email them to Adrian about like concrete things that you're talking about, like a birthday song competition for award, like getting community engagement that way, like different ways to engage the community. They're very excited about that. So, and then they asked about the board, like change of the people. So like Laura is now the treasurer and stuff like that. So gave them a little update on that sort of stuff. But, and then a lot of discussion about how the day we had did not work for a lot of people. So we had to change it for the next time. So
Okay.
yeah, gonna keep going to that, but
Okay,
it was
thank
good.
you. Any other committee? Okay, then let's, yeah,
There is one thing I wanted to mention, that I learned from Mary Joy today. We now have access here for the Heartland accounts.
Mhm.
Remember, we had some difficulties with that. Dave was the only one who was
Okay.
able to access those. We fixed that
oh,
Oh, yay.
as of today.
good.
Congratulations.
So who has access?
Mary Joy and Tom right now.
Okay, and at some point, should the president?
I think we want to discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you just let me know what you want me to sign or not sign.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk a bit about the retreat. What I told Jeff Burkhart, from my sense of the board's interest, or the items on the board's agenda for this are having clear understanding of what board role is and what staff role is. Not to suggest that people don't have a clear understanding, but just to make sure that everyone in a room at the same time understands this is a board policy decision, this is a staff daily operation responsibility. And that's, I think, that will be, whether or not that's an existing problem, to have it all clarified will be very useful. The other thing from the board's perspective is that for the next 3 years, we're going to have a staff collective, and we think that the staff collective could function at a higher level. We think that there are some issues about internal accountability that need to be addressed, and there's some things about internal accountability that need to be addressed, and other functioning of the collective that would benefit the collective and therefore benefit the station to have resolved. That's what I told Jeff was my reading of what our agenda going in is, and I said that he should talk to Doug, because I know that staff has been working on its agenda for what that
Mhm.
meeting would be. If you want to share that with us now, fine. If you don't,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I would be happy to
Okay.
respond.
First of all, yeah, respond however you want.
Yeah, the staff discussed, on Tuesday at our staff meeting, the board's position and what the board wants to see from the retreat. I think we've all identified that there are these two areas, board and staff relations, staff collective relations. The staff feels that maybe we do need 2 retreats, as Jeff suggests. The staff also feels that the work we need to do as a collective, we need to do by ourselves with the facilitator, and then report to the board on a progress that was made at that retreat, because they are 2 very different things. We also feel that the board being in the meeting where we are trying to dig down into what's going wrong with the collective, we need to do that by ourselves. We need to not have outside interference in the process, because I think we'll have a cleaner process that has more buy-in from staff. We're happy to report on the progress that we make in that retreat, because we also feel that it's important for the staff collective to work as good as it can together as a unified body. And we agree that there's some problems that we need to deal with, but we really feel strongly that we need to do that on our own with a facilitator in order to make the most progress. We also want to seek out another quote. There's also been talk about Rebecca Campbell as a possible facilitator, especially for the collective management side of it. She specializes in collectives and co-ops. She's been working with Union Cab for years. She's a very outspoken individual, but also someone who could lend a really good resource for collective management and accountability. So we feel, depending on what her rate is too, it might be a better option for the other meeting of the staff collective itself. That being said, I think we're more leaning going toward Jeff for the board and staff because that seems to be really where his strengths are. So that's kind of where the staff is coming from at this point.
I had not thought of that, but I think you're right. That the work of the collective fixing itself needs to be done by the collective without us there. I think I would like there to be at least some shared discussion of it in one session that we could at least lay out our perspective. But the actual work of fixing the collective, I think you're right. I'll look around to see what other
Yeah, and I
board
think,
members think about
yeah,
it.
not to interrupt, but I think we too would appreciate the things that the board wants to see happen out of that.
Yeah,
You know, because we don't want to just go off of what we feel as
Yeah,
individual members. We want to know what you're seeing from the outside too, in order so that we know that we're hitting the right points that we need to hit as a collective.
oh, we have a list.
I know, I know.
And
But I think that should also be shared with the facilitator, whoever we
yeah.
decide we go with.
Yeah.
Just so that we have some sort of game plan in
yeah,
that,
yeah.
in that particular one.
And do you see that those two functions can be done by different people?
I do actually.
Okay,
I do actually,
Okay.
especially if
Yeah.
their particular areas of focus are one or the other.
Uh-huh.
One is staff and board relations,
yeah,
which is a very different relationship than a Unitarian staff collective management
Yeah.
scenario.
yeah. Oh, if we're all Unitarians, we wouldn't have any problems. Yeah.
Did I use the wrong word?
So I have a few,
Egalitarian, I'm sorry. It's
I was-
late.
I have a few thoughts. One, I do agree the collective needs to work on itself. That being said, the essence of board and staff relations has everything to do with how well the collective is or isn't working. And so I actually wonder if a process, the process that the staff wants to go through and I approve of, should actually precede the board staff relations meeting so that we can then also learn, okay, what did the staff, figure out through its process, and maybe, hopefully, some of those concerns that we have will be like, oh, well, if you do that, that's fantastic. That's what we were hoping. Or worse yet, hope not. Why the fuck would you do that? No, I don't think that'll happen, but and so my only concern, I do agree that people have different strengths, although if you're a really good facilitator, you can stretch pretty wide, about having two different ones. And I know Jeff and Rebecca and respect them both. There are, by the way, lots of others out there. And so we shouldn't feel like, I am shocked at Jeff's price, by the way, and I'm not approving $6,000 for 2 meetings.
I told him it was not the number I was looking for.
Right. So I think that the advantage of having the same person is that to the extent that we want, use the radio terms, to segue some of what and again, this is my proposed order,
Mm.
the staff comes up with into this board staff retreat, having the same person who was there and even doing some interim planning between meetings.
Yeah. that's a
You
good
know,
point.
so it doesn't come as a surprise. For
Mhm.
example, maybe the executive committee or Stuart and one other person meets with you and one other staff person with the facilitator in a shorter in-between meeting. You know, by the way, we want you to know this is what
Mhm.
you know, is on the plate. So those would be my ideas. And again, I mean, I know other good facilitators, don't know what their prices are lately. Jen Wilson's very good. I've used her before, and Madison is full of them. I mean, in a good way.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and I definitely see your point about having the same person do both.
It has
I
its
still feel like
advantages.
if we take the end of the board staff one to maybe like just have that be the place where the board states what they want to see from the collective session. And not feeling a need for the staff to respond in that meeting,
Mhm.
but these are the things we see. Don't need to respond to them now, but these are things we want you to work on in your meeting with the same facilitator.
But-
Because I'm definitely
I
agreeing
mean,
with
that's
you
a
that it
different
should be the same
order.
person.
The
It
problem,
is a different
the
order.
problem from my point of view, I mean, if we had all the time in the world and all the money in the world, we'd have a third meeting. So we'd have that first meeting introducing the issues. No, I don't want to call them problems, issues, challenges, whatever. To the extent that we can fix some of them right away, fantastic. To the extent some need this collective meeting to happen. But then, I mean, I'm hoping it come out of the collective meeting, we'll all be in sync and la-di-da, we just go traipse away.
It'd be
And
lovely.
but you know, let's face it, lots of people with strong opinions, including, I think, that's one of the challenges within the collective, you know, and on this board. And, you know, so that's we
You
do
don't
the
feel that,
collective afterwards. I don't know. I mean, do we just handle the results at a board meeting? This has not proven to be a great venue for that, which is why we've thought about this retreat for quite a while.
you know, I think you're suggesting the joint session preceding the collective.
Right.
So,
right, and then
My
something on the
inclination-
back end to report,
yeah, I mean, my
you know, the
inclination would
progress
be
on those.
that to make staff fully directly aware of what our concerns are.
Right, because then that would give us a game plan for
Right.
the meeting.
Yeah,
In addition to the things that we've brought up to ourselves as a
Right.
collective.
My only question about that is, do we need a retreat for that? I mean, we learned a lot in the personnel committee through
Yeah.
the evaluations. The challenge for the staff, and I'm realizing that now, is you don't quite appropriately see each other's evaluations, right? I mean, we gave you some information about it, but you
Right.
know, and so there's a lot to, you know, in a it's a little bit of a puzzle to me. Like, does it need a whole retreat, or does it need, you know, some of us who were deeply involved in the, four of us happen to be sitting right here, the evaluations, to have a meeting with some or all of the staff preceding that time. I agree. You should know what's on our mind. I
Yeah.
100% agree with
And-
that.
I feel we need a facilitator for the staff collective one because there's tools
Oh, I
in
agree.
how,
yeah.
you know, that we don't possess.
No, no one's suggesting.
And that the board
Yeah.
doesn't possess that we need in order to communicate
I
more
agree.
effectively.
I agree.
Um,
And generate trust and transparency.
well, and not everyone in the collective has experience working in a collective management system.
Right.
I have a lot of experience in collectives, as did Glenn, Adrian's predecessor. From some of the radical fairy things we've done, they're all completely egalitarian.
Right.
It's consensus or it doesn't happen. There is no voting. Which was at the core of the ethos of what this collective was made from. And we do still try to achieve a unanimous vote for everything we decide. And I have to tell you that most of the time we achieve it. You know, we come to a place where we can all live with it,
Yeah.
you know.
One of the things that I think I need to discuss this with Nate, because it has to do with the evaluation process. There is a way to anonymize things, to share with the staff collectively what the staff's comments on the collective were.
Yes.
Because I don't know how much individual staff have discussed it within the group, but there was a pretty clear message that the personnel committee received on that question of, tell us what your thoughts on the collective.
Mhm.
And I think I do need to clear that with Nate, because the whole issue of it has to do with the evaluation process.
Sure.
But I think I can anonymize that material and share it with you. And I think that would be useful
I do.
for
too.
everyone for you to hear that directly.
I have a thought in terms
Yeah.
of this ordering or whatever. I think you guys should talk to Rebecca. Maybe you want to also, whatever, if we're gonna, and maybe there's one or more other facilitator. A good facilitator will give us good advice about
The process.
the process.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, that's like 90% of what we
Mhm.
want
Yeah.
from
We
them.
don't have to.
So we can bat it back and forth. Of
That's a
course,
good
there's
point.
no one right way,
Yeah.
but they'll have, we can tell them what our back and forth has been, and they might come up with even a third idea that's like, well, have you thought of this?
Yeah, and I think we're in agreement on the structure of what we want to see,
Yeah.
that we're looking at 2 meetings, one
Yeah.
between board and staff,
Yeah.
to deal with those relations, one to deal with staff collective issues.
Yeah.
And I think from that, it would be prudent to get a few more quotes. Susan is always a big fan
Yeah.
of getting a lot of quotes for stuff.
Yeah.
So, we may find that even Rebecca, as a good friend of the station, might come in under just because
Might.
she wants
Might.
to do this work for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
Oh, well,
there
let me
are
know if you want me to
options.
reach out to Jen or anything like that. I can do that, or
Yeah.
It wouldn't be bad to get a ballpark, just to kind of see
I'll
what we're
shoot a
looking at.
message.
Oh, there's hands.
Jessica has her hand up. Yes. You're muted. Jessica, you're muted. There you go.
Sorry.
Hi, okay, so pardon my newness and ignorance.
Yeah.
So you do regular or semi-annual staff evaluations as well?
We just completed a very detailed staff evaluation, which was the first meaningful evaluation in several years,
maybe ever.
maybe ever. But I think it was a good process that I think staff generally endorsed. It was negotiated with the union for its terms and its process, and it was I thought it was very productive.
And the
Yes.
plan is to have some version of that every year. We're
Yeah.
not gonna go back to the old days of just not doing it.
Yeah.
The last one was 8 years ago, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, and what I
Wow.
heard
Okay.
too is
Yeah.
that it wasn't as good.
Yeah.
It wasn't as thorough.
Did you want to follow up on that, Jessica?
No, no.
Yeah, so you, hold
Go
on,
ahead.
Addie. So you just did, hold on one second, Addie, yes, give me a moment. So you just did the staff evaluations, and then do you have a performance discussion where you set the expectations for the year?
Yes, the personnel committee met individually with the staff, and wrote up and wrote up the evaluations with work plans as appropriate. And
When did that happen?
I'm sorry?
When did that happen?
April?
I'm sorry?
March and April?
March and April?
Yeah, and
March
in
and
some
April,
cases,
okay.
in some cases
Yeah.
it stretched out longer
Yeah.
because staff
It
leave and stuff like
it
that.
was, the process started in late fall of 23 and finished in early spring of 24.
And part of that was because we were figuring it out. It was
Yeah.
all new
Yeah.
evaluation tools.
Yeah.
Which we won't.
So
have.
when did the performance assessment happen?
When did the what?
The performance assessment, when did that happen?
The meetings with staff were, I think
March, April?
yeah, somewhere in there. And again, 1 or 2 were later just
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
issues staff people
Yeah.
had going on.
Our prime directive was to get it done prior to the negotiations for the new collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
So it all happened right before this board was elected. It was the high priority for the previous board to get done.
And so is it like a measurement system where you sort of rated like a 5 point, or is it like a pass fail, or how is performance measured?
There was peer evaluation where each member of the collective gave an assessment on a 5 scale on like 18 or 20 questions for each each other staff member. And we also surveyed the volunteers. And then also had self-evaluations, which were received by the personnel committee. And then 2 members of the personnel committee had direct meetings with each staff member, wrote up the results of the meeting, shared that with the personnel committee, gave a written report to the staff member.
Okay. So then you determined from there that you needed a retreat because
No, the need for the retreat way predates that. The point about the nexus between the evaluation process and this discussion is that one of the questions in the questionnaire was, give us your thoughts on the collective. And there were a majority of the staff expressed concerns, reservations, or identified some problem or other with the collective. And that's the nexus between the two concepts, between the personal evaluations and this discussion of a retreat.
So then that's sort of like how people are getting along, like their interpersonal skills of
More
sorts.
than that, I mean, things like internal accountability and just things going to the daily operations of the interrelationship and the functioning of the collective has a direct impact on the operations of the station.
Of course.
And to the extent that the collective could be functioning better,
for example, I'm not naming any names. What happens if someone's not in the station that often, or what happens if someone's not doing their job as well as they should be? How does the collective hold that response? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So and then where this meshes with board staff relations is then the board potentially sees that, either just because they're at the station and they see it, or through this personnel evaluation or evaluation process, and then look back to the collective to say, okay, so we're ultimately responsible for the big picture here, but you're responsible for day-to-day stuff, but some things aren't working. So then what? And that's, I think, boils it down to, how we hope that the board staff retreat will help us figure stuff like that out.
So like you want to create sort of like a safe place for people to get to know each other and just sort of like bond on a deeper level, so that the relationships and the accountability just kind of rectify.
I wish it would be that easy alone. I think it's more than that. I mean, I personally do think that, getting to know each other is always helpful. But I don't know that alone solves certain problems.
I think they know.
Well, somebody just mentioned building trust, and isn't that kind of how you build trust? Is like you get to know each other and you build a rapport and things like that. I mean, I don't know.
Facilitators that like specialize in this sort of thing, like the guy, from my understanding, like that's his thing, is like a board and a collective sort of relations and that sort of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
The guy that we're looking at, Jeff, or somebody else that you might know, and Rebecca specializes in specifically the collective and how they operate together, because they are two different things. So I think that's why the facilitators coming in is so it's not just us haphazardly trying to do kumbaya.
Right.
It's like an actual professional.
Yeah.
I mean,
So then when are you thinking of having the retreat?
We had identified the last weekend of January 25th, 26th as a date that everyone, to our understanding, was available. And Jeff appears to have that date, but he certainly Jeff Burkhart, sorry, but he certainly wasn't going to hold it indefinitely without a contract and an agreement. So And when he gave me the quote, I said, well, that's really not the number I was hoping to hear.
And he didn't respond like, oh, maybe we can work something out.
Well, no, I mean, he didn't say take it or leave it, but it was the number he started with.
Right, right.
And-
Go ahead.
So then you're gonna reevaluate at that annual basis, sort of the collective again to see if the retreat was a success.
Well, we're gonna know sooner than that.
No, I think, if your question is, when we do the annual personnel evaluations, will we still have some lens on, which included, frankly, most of this information comes from the staff themselves back to us when we asked them how the collective was working. Okay, so the great and refreshing thing was, I think people were super honest, which is great. They could have hidden things from us, but I don't think they did. I mean, maybe there were some things I still don't know.
I think the evaluation is just going to happen on a yearly basis,
Yeah.
regardless of if we have a retreat that year. This is just a new annual thing that the staff will do.
Right.
The retreat's just a thing that I think has been talked about for a while, and now it's just finally getting on calendars. and
Right.
becoming a common thing.
Right. Although I do agree, like, if something came out of the retreat that suggested we modify the evaluation somewhat, I would be absolutely open to that,
Yeah.
I hope there are.
This is
some
just starting a
suggestions.
conversation, a more like
Right.
actually facilitated conversation.
Right.
Does
Yeah, I
that-
guess my whole point of this line of questioning is just if we're gonna spend that kind of money and people are gonna spend their time and you want to see improvement, then there should be some sort of a metric that tracks improvement to see if it's worth it, and then to build it in on an annual basis. Like people might actually enjoy it and look forward to it, and I just see that sort of like paying off over time instead of just like not having any control to know if it actually did any good. So just some sort of metric to track if it worked or not, if it was
Okay.
worth the money.
That's a good idea. Yeah, Doug.
Yeah, I don't know if like the retreat itself is something that's been planned for an annual basis. I think what we were more looking for was a one-time thing, or a two-time in this instance, since we're talking about two different things. But something that could give us the tools and resources and documentation that we can use going forward, so that when new staff members come in, this functionality of the collective and how the collective and the board work together is clearly documented, so people don't have to, and new board members don't have to figure it out as they go along. So I think the other big goal of this is acquiring those tools and having them well documented, so that going forward, our rights, our roles and responsibilities are clearly defined, as are the lines of communication.
Phil also has had his hand raised for a minute.
Okay,
Fine.
Phil, yes.
I think one idea that might help Jessica and other people on the board who are not part of the personnel committee understand these issues a little better would be that if you are able to develop a sort of anonymized summary of the staff evaluation comments about other members of the staff collective, sharing that with the entire board as well as the staff, I think would go a long way toward helping get everyone on the same page.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Laura and Jeff.
So one of the things that was troubling for me, I mean, this was a point in time because it's our first evaluation. And I know we want to revisit this and build a more longitudinal record of what's going on, but I'd like to see more metrics added. I'd like to see ways that we can watch people's goal posts or mileposts and get some estimation on exactly what kind of progress the staff is making. I think there are definite improvements we can make to the evaluation process, and I hope that's also part of the retreats.
Well, there were individual metrics in the employee evaluations. So employees who got work plans do have, there were goals and metrics put in those individual work plans. I don't think that,
The individual work plans,
Yeah.
yes, but not the evaluations.
well, no,
themselves per se.
no, I mean, I consider them part of the same thing.
Okay.
The work plan, that's all evaluation to me. The work plan is part of the evaluation. Because whether or not you met the terms of the work plan, it comes up in your next year evaluation.
But
We've
we're-
just hit an hour or two, by
Yeah.
the way.
We're really not talking right now, I don't think, about the full evaluation. We're talking about the piece of it
Yeah.
that was really a very important but easily pull outable, if we can anonymize it, piece where we ask staff to give us feedback about the collective.
Yeah.
And I think that, as chair of the personnel committee, at our next personnel committee meeting, we should have a conversation about how to do that.
Yeah.
I think it will be good for both staff to see that, so it can do its planning.
I agree.
And it will be good, particularly for non-personnel committee members and new board members who didn't even hear reports about the evaluation that we completed before you were on. So I do think that's a very good idea, but it's going to take some work, including a conversation. I don't know if you want to do that, Nate.
I copied Nate on my report. I have not heard from him, but I've alerted him to the fact that this is something I'm gonna be
Okay, good.
working with him
good.
to try and.
So we'll talk about it at our next personnel committee meeting.
Yeah.
And I would hope at the very latest, maybe by December, so it's in advance of this, so people have a little time to chew on it, right? We could come up with something, but maybe in November at our meeting, we can figure out like what it is that we're giving and how to do it. It will be somewhat tricky to do it. The last thing we want to do is pour kerosene on any fires. So it will be a little tricky to do it in a helpful manner so that people are getting information, but not in a way that, rubs them the wrong way. I think the good news is, because I think people were honest, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by anything that we share.
The immediate question is, should everybody still hold January 25, 26 for a possible meeting?
I think so, because
Okay.
if we don't, then
Okay.
it's just going to keep getting pushed.
Progress we've made so far.
We've had a full discussion.
Well, then like reaching out to other possible facilitators, let's offer that date
Right,
to
right,
even
right.
know if they're available.
Exactly,
And-
exactly.
And, I asked Rebecca what she thinks about which goes first.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Anybody else got anything on that? I just know Polly Walnuts, your hair's like Polly Walnuts.
Who's Polly Walnut?
Sopranos.
Oh, I didn't even.
Oh,
watch
God.
it.
Yeah.
Just got it cut.
No, the white and the.
It's a compliment.
It's a good-
Okay, good.
Cool.
Oh, it's a good look.
It's a good look.
It's a good
I'll
look.
have to look it up.
It's a good look.
Polly
Okay, then let's,
I have one
Yeah.
last thing.
on this,
No, not on that.
okay, well, okay, because I got something else, but what do you got?
Oh, the tech survey that,
Okay.
I think I sent
Yep.
links to everybody about this yesterday. I was wondering if you guys would like me to forward you the slide deck from the tech survey so that you can see it. It's something that
Sure,
Jacob
yeah,
Media
yeah,
does,
yeah.
and it relates more strongly to the future
Okay.
of work.
Just put it in the folder.
All right, that's
Okay.
that's the way I'll do it then.
Yeah.
So,
But that's a good segue to let's talk about the future. And this came up in the context of, okay, we've got all this material that's being archived.
Yeah.
Doug Ranney is doing yeoman's work.
It's Adrian's father.
Adrian's father.
He's deep in it.
Deep in it.
Yeah.
So and he's uncovering great stuff, but there are two questions that are beyond the scope of the 50th birthday party committee. And that is, what do we do with all this material? How do we make it accessible? How do we monetize it? How do we distribute it? What do we do with it? And how much of the basis of the Ward of the future does that material provide, or get us started on? And it's time. I proposed this several months ago and haven't done much with it for reasons that you know about, but it's time to really start having that conversation about what this task force or committee is going to do. Because we got people who know about the media of the future more than some of us do, and we need to look to you to figure out how we're going to position WORT for people who don't have radios in their car. Position WORT for people who get their information from TikTok and Instagram, and which is beyond most of us on the board.
That's what this survey is all about, by
Okay.
the way.
Okay, has it told you anything yet, or is it just?
It's too new.
Well, I haven't digested the whole thing, but yeah, I have to say that we're ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff. So,
Okay.
but what I wanted to say is to give a little background. For example, Peter Charles Allen had made a number of videos in the vinyl library here, and the content he published on his own channel. So have we lost our our rights? So this just tells you a little bit about the kind of stuff we need to look at. We haven't been keeping tight control on some of this material, and we need to yeah, this is the future I'm talking about.
Right, yeah, we need to make it clear that material produced on or at WORT is WORT's.
Yeah, well, do we have, I don't recall ever signing anything that says that, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
It's
but-
going to be in the volunteer handbook.
Good, should be, people should
We
sign.
we do have releases that artists sign, but
No, I'm talking about program.
Yeah,
I mean, Dave, Terry O took his Diaspora show name with him. Was that his name or was it Wart's name?
yeah.
I thought it was Wart's until he took it, to do a podcast.
Yeah.
It's just an
Right.
example. I'm not.
no, it's and mine was too.
Yeah.
But this is a lot of the stuff that could be slipping through our fingers, and we need to monetize every bit of it that we can.
So the floor is open for anybody who's got thoughts or comments on
I mean,
what this task force can do and should do. So.
I'll
Anybody?
contribute that just
I'm sorry?
sorry, my connection's
Yeah.
late. Regarding content ownership, I do think we would want some clarity on the rules or what was signed off on for the volunteers. I could use clarity on that myself. And I also think it's, while we do want to try and monetize what our content is, where it makes sense, there's also some consideration that should be put into the fact that this being socialized on PC Allen's personal channel, like on Facebook, is really beneficial for WORT in the end. And it would be for a lot of other hosts, I think. So that's just something to consider as well, that the idea of the sharing itself, just his followers then seeing that information is beneficial for WORT. But yeah, what the expectations are, we'd want to maybe circulate those to the volunteer group again. But yeah, just a couple things to consider for that.
I mean, when I think of monetize, I think of the possibility of syndicating. Like, do we have, I'm thinking, and I love FRP, but when I think of, what was his name? Who did Rick Murphy's, Tropical Rhythms or whatever he called it before that, was just, like radio artistry. And if we had archives of that, and I'm just using this as one example, would there be other stations that would buy? I mean, when we buy syndicated things, we pay for them, you know, whether it's BBC or Democracy Now! Or Letters in Politics or whatever. So can we be leaders in that instead of only purchasing other people's stuff? And that could be present day, or it could be archived old stuff that we think are real.
Bill Malone, I mean, you would think you could monetize Bill Malone.
Right.
Yeah, I think making it very clear who owns what, because WORT is not behind a paywall. WORT is an over-the-air station. You can get it for free. You can get it for free on there. So any sort of paywall we put in place has to be a worthy paywall, and it has to make sense. So for syndication purposes, obviously, but that would come back to making sure volunteers know this is our show, that if we are going to syndicate, this will be WORT's property, not your own. So I think any sort of future things like that and archiving that sort of stuff, just making sure that the lion's share is free and accessible.
Yeah, I think monetize, when I say monetizing, that includes making sure that anything that goes out is WORT branded with the donate button there. It's not necessarily selling it, putting it on a paywall. It's just making sure, oh, this is great. And you say, oh, this is great. Boy, that PCL is a clever boy. But it's like, oh, this is great. This is on WORT. Yo, orange donate button. That's
like pushing things back to the WORT
Right,
branding. Like,
right.
I think, maybe just like the branding and the digitizing of the branding and making sure that like, when we are doing anything online, especially with online stuff.
right. That's how I was using.
Okay,
it.
cool.
Not paywall.
I was like, we're not doing like a pushing out there. Cool.
I think, paywalls really don't work.
No.
Well, plus we're not.
But yeah, and I think and even syndication is failing. People aren't syndicating programs anymore. Thing is, anyone can come to WORT and to listen to it, and that's what we really need to work at, is so that this stuff is not on other people's websites, that they have to come to the WORT website, where whatever we want to draw their eyeballs to, like our donate button, that they will see that, and they will know that we are the source, and that if they want to continue to hear this kind of stuff, then they have to donate to us.
Yeah, Jessica's your hand up again, or is that from the past time?
No, it's up. This is definitely outside of my area of expertise. However, if I may, if the conversation is going towards sort of like preserving WORT's intellectual property, in a way, have you thought about having some sort of non-compete clause that people would sign, to where they couldn't just take an idea and start their own podcast, or they couldn't, they had to wait a certain amount of time before they could maybe take this idea, and if they're going to rebrand it into something else, they have to wait like a year and a half or something like that?
We have at least one, and maybe more than that, programmers who are already both on WORT and on WSUM and maybe other stations. And I would hate to put somebody in the, okay, you got to choose.
Oh, no, but they're not taking
No,
a recording of their WORT
no,
show
but-
and playing it on WSUM.
No, but they're doing similar programming. And
I don't think there's anything we can do.
No, I'm not. I'm saying there isn't. I mean,
Or should we?
yeah. Because I'd hate to say.
That's not the nature of community
Yeah.
radio.
No.
But I do think, when it comes to developing a pod, I mean, there should be and now we get back to the issue of the things that I'd like the task force to be looking at.
Yeah.
Can we identify WORT podcasts? I mean, are there WORT podcasts that would have any functionality in the market? What do we do to prepare ourselves for the future when terrestrial radio is dying or dead? That's the general purview of what I think that the task force needs to start looking at.
Yeah, fewer and fewer people are listening to
over the
radios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do we market ourselves? How do we capture those people and have them hit that orange button?
Yeah.
Um,
No idea right now, and everyone's staring at me.
well, maybe Julia's got some ideas.
Yeah, well, I think a couple initial steps. First, we're calling it a task force, and that's great. It can start that way, but really, this is probably going to become a committee because social media isn't a task that's going to be solved. This is just the future, and it's how it's going to proceed. So, I think approaching it, that would just be a good mindset to have down the line. And then I asked this, I've probably asked it in a few different settings, but I think we should look at what is social media management right now for us? Who posts? Because my understanding is it's this person here and this person's here. And so we need to figure out who all the folks are that are the point people that are actually contributing and then take a look at that and see if we want to refine. I think that's Doug. Go ahead, Doug. I can see your
Yeah,
hand.
this is clearly a staff level conversation. The staff is responsible for posting on social media. We have a person who is paid to manage our social media presence. Faye gets 5 hours a week. I know it's not a lot, but that's what's in the budget to manage all of the posts that come to her from other staff members. And Faye coordinates the scheduling of the posts, and this is especially on Facebook. Each of us are responsible for different parts of social media. If there's a WORT event coming up, I'm responsible for creating the WORT event under the WORT umbrella. Ralph also does a number of postings on behalf of WORT. These are all coordinated through Faye. And in addition, Adrian is getting a volunteer to help with our TikTok presence. We already have a strong Instagram presence and have thousands of followers on Instagram. We regularly post to it. So as far as social media goes, staff already has handled this. We are, like Laura said, far ahead of many commercial radio stations. There is more to go, and of course, we can always throw more money at it. But at the same time, how social media is managed is clearly a day-to-day operations staff problem.
I
As
appreciate
far
that.
as future vision of our social media, that's a board problem.
Laura.
There are a number of issues though that we formed a digital committee a while back. I don't know if any of you remember that,
Yes.
but it basically all they have done so far is to paint the middle studio and to make it more presentable for videos. But we need to take that video concept much further. We're doing videos, we're posting videos to some extent, but we don't own any video equipment that I know of, just people's phones, right?
We've got a couple cameras.
We have a couple cameras.
Okay. Well, the point is that I think we need to be strategic about this stuff. Video equipment's expensive, and anyways, these are the kinds of things that we might be able to talk about. Do we want to have a camera positioned at our DJ, at the chairs of our hosts?
You want to know the myriad of problems?
No,
Yeah.
I understand
We've
this.
already had these conversations, Laura, on a staff level several times.
I
Um,
think we're getting lost because
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart asked, and I have a question about your question, is just like, what should the task force do?
Yeah.
And some of us are on the task force, some of us aren't, because it's, not a committee of the whole, and that's fine. So I'm a little, we've thrown out spitball, I'll call it, lots of ideas. They're good ideas. Some may go forward, some may not go forward. But I guess my question back to you, Stuart, what else are you looking for from us as the board of the whole to input to the task force? Because we're not the task force.
I just wanted to start the conversation.
Okay.
And Doug, I prefer to use the phrase board and staff issues as opposed to board and staff problems.
Okay. Situations, but
I-
also like areas of purview. The staff needs to be in charge of what goes out on social media and who does it, because there's scheduling that's involved And these are all issues that we've already tackled, and there are already processes in place. The board may not be aware of those processes, but they exist.
But Doug,
it's
we're talking about the future now. So nobody's talking about like changing anything in the immediate future. I assume the task for the future is looking out, I don't know, 2, 5, 10 years. And how do we get to where we need to be?
Right, but at the same time, we were talking about licensing rights, and we're talking about all these other things that have processes in place already.
What
So
decision says the
I'd like to
well,
separate
yeah,
the two if
yeah,
we
yeah,
can, and not delve into things that staff is already taking care of.
The issue
I
of,
guess that's what I'm saying.
the issue of who owns material produced here is our decision. It's not yours.
Yes, and it's clearly documented.
Okay.
Is what I'm
So
saying.
Doug, even if that's true, I don't think most volunteers know it. So it's appropriate. I don't know it. And so I appreciate that we're going to have a volunteer handbook that's going to specify it, and
Yes,
volunteers are going to
please.
be informed and sign it.
Yes,
Even if
right.
it reflects the exact policy that you seem to know. I don't know what it is.
Well, there too, that shows something else that needs to be put on the docket for the staff and board retreat, because there's things that are already being taken care of that the board doesn't know. There's things that aren't being taken care of that the board needs to know are being taken care of. And we haven't identified what those are. This is only one area.
Agree.
Jessica, hand up.
Yeah, I'm wondering, just to circle back to the futures committee for a moment. Are you guys researching, like calling other community radio stations around the country or even the world, and figuring out sort of what their future looks like, or maybe people who are really sort of got their finger on the pulse of the future, what they're implementing? Because that might be helpful
We have
to
not
gather
done-
some research.
I mean, a bunch of us are on the NFCB listserv, and stuff comes up every once in a while, but we have not done a organized outreach to other stations to find out how they're addressing this. No, we can put that on the to-do list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah,
I would just suggest that anybody interested in the future task force go into the link that Laura is sharing for the public radio media survey and dig down into it, because it's a good starting point for where that task force should be focusing its energy.
now, I know that Julia and Nicole have an interest in working on this. Who else is interested? Dan, Laura?
Phil,
Phil? Okay,
I also have a question.
yeah,
I don't want to be adversarial, Doug, but it may be helpful to just share the processes that the staff has in place. And I don't mean that right now, but if you could simply direct anyone who is curious about these processes where we might go to find them, I think that would be much more helpful than just telling the board that, hey, this is taken care of and you don't need to worry about it.
Which processes specifically? Because if it's a matter of social media scheduling, that's just in someone's job description.
And you know what? I speaking only for myself as a member of the board, I have no idea who's in charge of any of this beyond what you've explained in the last 15 minutes.
we lost Phil.
No.
Oops. I don't think.
I guess it was a bad question.
Ah.
The Zoom didn't
I'm
like
kidding.
Talk show.
I'm kidding. Hilarious.
He's back. He's back.
I'm confused.
Phil, can you hear us?
Yeah, no, the call dropped for whatever reason.
I guess my question is, why the necessity to know that level of detail?
Because you're specifically telling us that the staff has all this handled and we don't need to worry about it. And I think the discussion right now is indicating that there are members of the board who are perhaps not worried, but at least have questions. And I think the easiest way to answer those questions is just to point us in the right direction as to where we can find those. And I also realize you're about to go on vacation, so I don't expect you to drop what you're doing and get this taken care of in the next 5 minutes.
I'm actually not the person responsible for it. It's actually
Oh,
reported
okay.
on Shali's board report on a monthly basis. She gives the online analytics for both social media and the WORT website. So
I
you
don't
can
think the
see how
analytics,
our audience is tracking and the effectiveness of the social media that's being worked on by staff.
the analytics don't actually answer this idea that you proposed that the staff has a process in place and it's all laid out and taken care of, and you've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's.
Not to that extent, Phil. I'm sorry if you misunderstand or I misrepresented. We have a process in that when we have something to post, we give it to Faye and Faye posts it so that the scheduling of the posts do not become either too frequent or too infrequent, because Facebook is extremely fussy about how much you post. It can do things like get you kicked out if you post too frequently. So part of Faye's job is to know how much is too much and how much is not enough, so that all of the posts coming from not only the shows, from me for events, and from other departments, it all funnels through Faye. And we made this change a few years ago because before that we had no process. Everybody was responsible for their own social media, and we found a lot of the scheduling problems were happening where posts were jumping on top of each other. So Shali asked for hours for her assistant news director to specifically focus on social media so that we would have an internal process for social media that was more structured. And the structure isn't documented per se like a process, like a manual. It's more assigned to a person who's the ringleader of social media. And I hope that helps
Okay.
explain.
It does help explain it. And like I said, I really don't want to be adversarial. I just think that this circles back to something we've already discussed several times in this board meeting, is that WORT has a lot of information on the shared drive. And I'm going to be real honest, maybe it's my problem. Maybe I'm the only one who has this problem, but it is incredibly difficult to wade through it and find things. And I just think that I think, not to put it all on your shoulders, Doug, but I think that the board in general, the staff in general, this is absolutely something that we need to do better about, sort of streamlining our documentation process overall. And that's where
Well, this-
I'll leave
This
myself.
whole task force.
Yeah, more.
Kinda.
Okay.
I
Thank you,
and I
Phil.
think that perhaps this is something that whether it is the digital committee, digital task force, the future award, I just think that this is something that needs to be looked at structurally. Because I've already had several of the staff tell me, hey, the board needs to have a much better onboarding process. And I agree. And that is about where it ends, because staff don't have the ability to tell the board to do it. And I don't feel it's the board's place to tell the staff, hey, figure this problem out for us. So I don't know, where do we go from here? I think that's a question that somebody should be tackling.
I think that's probably part of what we're gonna discuss at the retreat.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of getting this committee to start functioning, who wants to be the lead person in calling the first meeting? I do not. Who wants to, of the people everyone who has expressed an interest in being on the task force is appointed. Do we have any volunteers in terms of who wants to hold the laboring or to organize the first meeting so that
When-
the committee can, or the task force can choose a chair and start working?
in the next month?
Well, you know,
Something to report at the next meeting, huh?
to at least start, you know, getting it underway.
I'll tackle it.
Okay,
Thank you, Laura.
thank you.
Is there a staff person assigned to the committee, or can the staff talk about that? Because the way this conversation has gone, which is meandered, suggests to me that it would be very important to have a staff person
Yeah,
on
I
this
agree.
committee.
yeah.
And
Otherwise, we're gonna have more of this.
Yeah, I
Right,
don't
and
want.
I don't wanna call anybody
No, I don't
out
even
or
mean
anything,
conflict.
but I almost feel like it would be vital for Shelley to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Shelley has more insights on social media than anybody else on the staff.
Yeah.
She also, not to be ageist, she's very young, she
Yeah.
understands
Better.
how
figure
young
out
people
else.
interact with social media
Well, and she-
very well.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, no bones about it, I think,
Yeah.
I think Adrian could also offer some insights, but not on the level that Shelley could, because
Okay.
You wanna
because
talk to
Shelley
her about
does
that?
use social media so deeply in her department.
You want
so,
to talk to her about that?
Maybe
Maybe get back to Laura, because we'll have to set up
yeah,
like a
I'll
list
try to break it to
Yeah.
her.
or just do it. Yeah, whatever.
She might hear a
I
better
do know
coming
that
from you.
Shelley is.
Don't tell
We're
her
gonna
I
talk
said
to Dawn.
anything.
Okay, whatever.
Well,
No, I'll talk to her. Julia,
I think it was already covered. I agree that Shelley would be a great candidate for this kind of situation. I was just going to say that, yeah, I'd be excited to get started on this, but I do think that the board would need more context, which is what Phil was speaking to. So, yeah, a solid connection between how we can support and what the expectations actually are, I think is necessary. But yeah, that's all I had.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, I think another thing that Shelley would be able to provide is some of the metrics of where we're at now in social media, the progress that we've made over the last, say, 5 or 6 years, when we really started making an effort on social media. I mean, the other thing about video too, syndicating music shows, I just want to say quick, you also run into the problem of
Yeah.
music right
oh,
licensing.
yeah.
trademark
So
licensing and copyright
so
licensing.
there's a myriad of issues why we don't do syndicated programming. So I mean, that being said, we're also looking at how podcasts track as far as numbers of listens per week and per month. So I'm keeping my eye on it to know if we can start monetizing pre-roll for our podcasts that are popular enough.
Yeah.
Right now, the only one that's in the pocket is Mel and Floyd. The other podcasts just don't have the listenership of Mel and Floyd, which also doesn't really make them marketable. And Mel and Floyd is kind of so locally focused in a way that I don't know that other stations would
No, I
be
don't
interested
think
in the
so.
content.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with
Sure,
syndication
sure.
right now. We've actually looked at it in the past, 2016, 2017, when Terry O was on the board. We were looking at possibly syndicating programming and exporting it instead of using the CPB funds for the CPB funds for the BBC airing. Right now, we use the restricted funds to run other people's syndicated programming.
Right.
You can also use CPB funds to create your own syndicated programming. We're just not there yet. So just to shortly answer
Yeah,
a
no,
couple of
appreciate that.
those questions
Yeah.
that were
Yeah,
put
but-
out.
And it's, the thing is syndication, there are more and more shows dropping out of syndication
Yes.
than there are
Yeah.
adding.
I
to.
just know that from time to time, and it might even just be like we get provided syndicated rights to, let's say, live stream at the New Orleans Jazz Festival or whatever. So there might be, for example, McPike Park live stream, things that are really unique.
Yes.
I agree that in terms of a regular show, probably not, but so whatever. These are just things to discuss. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
On that special content kind of package to push out, that's
Right.
a fantastic idea.
Okay, so at least we started the conversation. Anybody got anything else to throw in the pot at this time?
Will
on that?
you send me your list of interested parties?
Okay, well, okay, so right now we got Dan and Julia and Nicole,
Phil.
who else?
Phil.
Phil. That's it from around the table. I mean, put me on the list too. And I will,
No.
yeah, I will.
And Stuart,
Throw
please help
Shelley.
us out.
We don't even talk to her. Just throw her on the first
Throw
meeting.
her under the bus and walk.
On the drain.
Yeah, I will. I'll talk with the news and public affairs.
They're gonna
director.
kick me off
Yeah.
the board for the.
Well, maybe her having I think out of the people that have been mentioned, Shalley's schedule is the most fragile.
That's what I
That's
was
the
gonna
other-
mention.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll talk with her.
Have a
Okay.
conversation, we'll see.
Anybody got anything else? So,
I-
okay, so we talked about the retreat, and we talked about this, so this is good. We've made
Good,
progress on those
good,
two items.
Good, just, I would like people to know that not only will I be at Womack's World Music Expo next week in Manchester, England,
Ooh,
for WRT programmers.
Awesome.
Dunker, me, Gloria Hayes, and
Wow.
Dan Telmo, as well as Dan's wife Paula White, who takes
Oh,
wonderful
wonderful.
photos, and it's I doubt there's another station in the world that will have that kind of presence there.
So I'm looking for some serious social media posts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
English breakfast.
Anybody got anything else? Okay, then,
Motion to adjourn.
if there's no other business, we'll, see you next
Second.
time.
Submit a timesheet.
Are we submitting a motion to adjourn in a second?
Oh, wait a second.
I motion to
Jessica,
adjourn.
wait a second, Jessica, do you have something?
Oh yeah, really super quick. Just a unique opportunity on October 30th. I've invited the Commissioner of Social Security to town along with FDR's grandson and a UW-Madison professor, and we're going to be discussing the past, present, and future of Social Security, bringing the Wisconsin idea back home. It's going to be at the Goodman Community Center. Doors open at 5:30 for the first 100 guests to sit and listen to that symposium. So if any of you are interested in sitting in and engaging, it's going to be an interactive discussion. So
Okay.
And here's a fun fact. Edwin Whitty, the father of the Social Security Act, was a member of the Socialist Club at the University of Wisconsin.
no way. That is, well,
in your
come
book?
and share that. The
Yes,
moderator is from the Historical Society. Come and share that.
yeah.
We're going to have a power up slideshow and stuff.
Okay.
Will the meeting be audio recorded?
It's going to be live streamed and recorded by Social Security Works. And I am working with Shalley to see if you guys want to sponsor at no cost, but we're
Nice.
talking about that.
That'd be really
Okay.
neat.
Sweet.
Okay, thank you. Then there being no further business, we will, in the spirit of the collective, we will adjourn by consensus.
There you go.
No
Good.
objection.
I consent.
Have a good one.
Thank you, everybody.
That is our shortest
Hey,
board
Doug.
meeting of all time.
Bye, everyone.
This was a $1.42.
But
Adjourned by
like on my show, which
Yes,
or
you-
occasionally a new world music.
Thumbs up
I
motion.
see administrative proof, it just happened super fast.
Everyone's packing up
Never
before
did
the
it.
bell rings.
Like that. Who's here?
Let's go to the lunchroom.
Oh my God, right?
There were 4 people.
Somebody
it was like
mentioned the
we-
lunchroom
We
today.
don't
It's like,
have a,
I don't know where I am. I am in
as far as I
grade
know, an example.
Oh, no.
Test
Yeah.
in the future of organizing the social media.
There we go.
On
That's
board
just us.
from volunteer.
What's that gonna do?
I don't know.
That
Yeah,
I know.
two.